this is the time to pull out a journal, a fresh piece of paper if you have. We're actually going to walk through your prosperity braid. And I have to say that this is one of my favorite teachings. It's one of my favorite activities. I do it quite often, whether I'm facilitating or, working one-on-one. So mostly because I love to draw. I'm such a visual person. But I'm going to ask you to take that fresh piece of paper. And on that piece of paper, you're going to start with a couple of lines. Now, before you go for it, I'm going to ask you to draw a couple of lines, like the top of a Y or a V. Okay. And if you want to, you could draw a squiggly line over the top if you want to, because this is actually our waterfall. Where, believe it or not, you could even do a little blue there if you've got, Now, where the lines touch, I'm going to ask you to draw 3 squiggly lines down, as if we're going to braid or, weave something. And at the bottom of your page, I'm going to ask you to write, focus on the flow. And you can write my prosperity braid if you want to, but write focus on the flow. All right. So on the left, this left side represents, and you can just write yourself a note so you don't forget, what I call your energetic, creative flow. On the right-hand side is your growth edge. And in the middle, that's your core. That's your core baseline. So I'm going to take a moment to explain each of these to you. Your core baseline, when we're talking about your prosperity, whether that is the energy of prosperity that we have interpreted in Western culture as being taken care of, or how we take care of ourselves, whether that's your finances, your money, your opportunities, your fulfillment. The core baseline is really your comfort zone. It takes care of your baseline needs. It helps you feel secure. It is your baseline, and it's very important, and it's much needed. But as any comfort zone goes, it's kind of like floor 1 or 2 on an elevator that potentially goes up to floor 10. It's very important. It is your comfort zone. And some people are actually limited by staying in their comfort zone, especially when there's other possibilities to your left and your right. So no judgment. This is your core baseline. On the left-hand side, this energetic creative flow, I define that as how your spirit expresses yourself in the physical world. It's your soul work. It's your passion. It's what lights you up. It's where you feel most complete. And it's what you are constantly craving more of, craving to do more of. because it is your spiritual remembering of who you really are that comes through in this creative, energetic flow. Now, on the right-hand side, this is what you are reaching into. You're stretching into. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's that precipice of possibility that we absolutely yearn for. Because as human beings, it's very natural for us to always be expanding into more. I am a new person today, and a more expanded expression of myself than I was yesterday. And not from anything that I personally am doing. It's just how my life experience is. So we're going to go just a little level deeper to give you some time to think about this a little bit more. And then I'm going to open it up a bit to Morna to see if she's got any questions or reflections as she's willing to work with me through it. So let's just take it one more time through so that you can start to think about, I'm not even going to say think about, I'm going to actually say be open to, right? Receive, be a channel, what guidance is coming through this morning. So let's actually start with your center, because that's typically what comes most easily for people. Your center is your core baseline. It's your grounding cord. It's your security, your stability. And it actually comes typically quite easy for folks and quite naturally. It's your comfort zone. However, it's not typically where you receive your fulfillment. So you may know of individuals that are absolutely taken care of at a certain level, but they're not necessarily fulfilled at that level. You can be successful and be unfulfilled, but it does have a role. So I don't want you to ignore it. It's got a role, right? It's one of 3 braids. And in North American culture, it's definitely the braid that is focused on. Get a good job, get a steady paycheck, get a bunch of benefits. Yeah, that's how we were raised. But here's where I'd like to invite you to think about the expansion possibilities, because it's one of the braids. So we're going to go over and go a little level deeper. I encourage you to make some notes, a little level deeper to, let's actually go to the right side first. Let's go to that growth edge. What are you growing into? Now, it might take some strategy. It might take some work. It might take some partnerships. It might take some, mentoring or a framework that helps you get there. It definitely takes a brave mindset, but it places you into a bigger game. And in my experience, this game most likely involves other players. In fact, I call it creative collaboration in order for it to come fully alive. And again, this is something in North American culture that we're not normally taught unless you've been lucky enough to have experienced being part of a team, a sports team, an orchestra, some type of group music, a dance group, where you can see and feel your own growth, but you can actually feel the impact of that in a collective way, which is really powerful. So I would say this is where you're willing to take some of your biggest challenges. So you actually really kind of play with the whole risk and reward relationship. In terms of prosperity, fulfillment, financial fulfillment, this is typically in bursts and chunks of energy or flow. This might not be consistent, but it is quite substantial when it shows up. These are normally bigger ticket projects, opportunities, partnerships, invitations. And again, I'll go back to where I started. They aren't naturally comfortable because it's on your growth edge. Okay, last one, and then I'm going to take a break because I feel like I'm talking too much. On the left-hand side, this is actually, again, back to our energetic creative flow, our soul work, where the spirit, the whole of you, wants to come through in the physical form. This is actually an incredible source of fulfillment, of passion, of expansion, and I'm actually going to say of passive income. Passive income. What if there was something you could do that you absolutely, it lit you right up and it took care of you easily? It was a treat, a thrill to be able to do it. So I'd like you to think about allowing your spirit to soar and abundance to flow in easily on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis. This is your passive flow of abundance through your creative expression in the world that is unique to you. It is as unique as your fingerprint. The more purer and truer and more refined in that expression, the more that you can focus in on your soul's work, the more powerful and distilled this flow becomes. Once this stream is channeled, there is very little to do to care for it. It's passive. It just flows.